Hey guys, what's up? Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/eggs show. That's EGGSSHOW. Audible has more than 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or just about any device you can imagine. As Eggs listeners, you can download a free audiobook today by visiting audibletrial.com/eggs show.
Bang ding ding, trademark. He come out 6'7" tall. Bang ding ding, 1 inch tall. Bang dong ding dong ding dong ding dong ding dong ding dong ding. It is a perfect day.
Woke up to the sound of the garbage truck again. Upstairs neighbor's toilet's leaking on my head. Cars broke down, I missed the bus, there runs at 10. I had a feeling this was a day to stay in bed. I finally left my pad right on the jumper's cloud roof. A police officer pulled out his gun and said, I said, sir, you got the wrong guy. I guess it's just a perfect day. It's just a perfect day. Na, 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 na,
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another great episode of Eggs. This is episode 118.
Yeah, I know. Can you believe it? We've
Yeah.
made it 118 episodes. It's
Yeah.
pretty nuts.
It's been a minute. It's actually been a really cool ride. But
Yeah, no, it's cool. Well, and all of you guys who listened last week may recognize the sultry sounds of Mike being back in the
what's up,
studio.
what's up?
So, and actually producer Brandon is not here producing today. So
I didn't call him and invite him. I should have.
Yeah,
Asked.
That's all right. We kind of threw this together last moment because Mike was in town today and he's looking to get out of town. And so we thought we'd hurry up and throw the show together a little bit early. So we're recording a little earlier in the week than we normally do.
A Monday for a change.
It's Tuesday.
Is it Tuesday?
Can you believe it's Tuesday already?
I don't even know what day of the week it is. That's
Yeah.
how crazy my
I think
life
his
is.
last few days have been blurring together for Mike. I came in this morning. So the place where our studio is located is called Access Salt Lake. We've talked about it before, but and this is technically called Access Studios, and this is where we shoot where we record the Eggs show, as well as numerous other shows for numerous other people who come through with their shows. But here at Access, it actually has sort of begun life as a co-working space. And it's sort of, it's still that, but it's kind of evolved more into an event type space where they're holding little events.
Yeah.
So Mike came in last night, blew in with the wind to do, was it yesterday that you came in or Sunday night?
Saturday, I had a wedding in Lake Chelan, and that got done, and I loaded out at midnight. And then I went and slept until about 7 and drove to Pocatello the next day. So I got to Pocatello around 7 or 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, it's like 12, 13 hours drive.
Yeah, and hung out there for the night, and then got up super early and drove in for the art show here at Access yesterday.
So that's what I was starting to lead to, is that basically last night here at Access, they held a art show. It was pretty cool. Do you have those artists' names, by the way?
Angela Bowman and Xavier French something. I don't know.
Yeah, it looks like Bardot or something, but it's not that. It's something else.
He's a pastry chef, too, and his pastries are delicious.
Could he be more stereotypical French?
Right? But no,
He's an artist slash pastry chef. That's
but
as French as it gets, I think.
his work is amazing, actually. It's kind of abstract art, and in every piece, there's like a face hidden in it. And you can't really...
Oh, is there really?
If you don't know and you don't kind of go in and look at it, there's faces kind of hidden in his artwork, and it's pretty neat.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so his last name is Baudinet.
Baudinet.
Yeah, it's probably Baudinet or something in French. So, but yeah, no. So he was here, and then what was the other one again?
Angela
Bowden, but I think is how you say it, or Bowden.
Bowden. Yeah, she's an amazing artist as well. Let me see if I can find her work here.
Yeah, she's really incredible. She does a lot of like wildlife stuff. as opposed to Javier's really abstract, really colorful stuff. You can find them both on Instagram just under their names, I believe.
Yeah, Angela Bowden, Bawden, and she does a lot of work up in like Park City and stuff like that.
Yeah, she's really well known for her sort of animal motifs and things like that. And really great work, super cool. And so they had a fun event down here at Access last night. Drinks and food and pastries made by Javier and all the stuff. They did sort of an auction for different pieces of work here in the building.
Yeah, went really
it was
well.
really cool. Yeah,
really,
it was
really fun event.
Yeah, awesome event and really cool. Selection of art. For people who didn't make it out, the volume of art. The collection that was here was actually really pretty big. Because this space is really big, and they basically had it covered wall to wall with
There's
paintings.
probably 30 paintings here.
Yeah, at least. And so it was really cool and a fun opportunity. It was kind of a new event for here at Access. Generally speaking, it's more like networking events and things like that, sort of business-centric stuff. So this was kind of a fun step outside of the box.
So, and it's also available for rent if anyone's looking for a venue to host an event.
Yeah, you can just hit us up here at the show and we can direct you to whomever. But the reason we're bringing it up, though, is that Mike, so as we were starting to say, Mike sort of blew in Sunday to do that or prepare for that event that was Monday night.
Yeah. Actually, I got here Monday morning and set up and did lighting and audio and everything, whole setup for it. And literally just got done tearing it down right before we started.
Yeah, and it's now 10:47 on the morning on Tuesday. So we're actually a day later. It literally took him, all night to get sort of everything taken down and clean the spot back up.
Yeah. So Chase.
Is it Loader?
1-2 and Chase Loader,
a podcast alumni.
Yeah, I can't remember what episode he was on, but really good DJ. He's got a different style than me, and it works with that kind of an event. Jazzy, kind of loungy, kind of. He not to say that he can't like do top 40 and hip hop and all that. He can do all that too, but he's really good at like Motown and just kind of good groovy music. And so I actually hired him to come in and DJ the night because I was doing everything. I was tired. I didn't want to do it all.
Well, and you were emceeing the event and things like that. Actually, you played auctioneer for a minute.
Yeah.
So Chase Loader, anybody that's interested in him or his backstory, he was on episode 95.
Yeah, he used to own a record store. He used to do all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, he's got a really fun backstory. He's an interesting guy, and he was actually a really good guest. He's a great talker, so he was a lot of fun. So go check him out. But anyway, he played last night. So did Mike, and Mike was up all night emceeing and doing all this stuff at this auction.
And then we went out for drinks afterwards.
And then he went out with Chase afterwards, and so ended up making a pretty rough morning for himself.
Yeah, 7 a.m. loadout with a hangover is not a good idea.
So nonetheless, or needless to say, Mike's a little tired this morning. You can't hear it in his
sorry
voice.
if I'm a little downer today.
So, but like we were saying, we wanted to get a show together this week live while Mike was in town, do it together in person, and producer Brandon was fun and all, but Mike's our rock, so we got to get Mike back in here. So
I quit.
So tired or not, we're putting him to work. So anyway, but yeah, so that was kind of Mike's travel weekend. But while you were up in Washington, you did a kind of a cool event too. This is one that you've done maybe the last 2 or 3 years now, right?
I think it's going on
more than that.
3 years now.
3 years.
Yeah. And
this is basically a fundraiser or charity event for the Chrons and Colitis Association, or what's the charity?
It's Chrons and Colitis, the association out of Seattle. I think they have branches across the U.S., but the one in Seattle is really unique, kind of a thing. I don't know if you know the backstory between.
Yeah, well, I mean, one thing that's interesting about it, or what makes it cool, outside of just doing some charitable work for a worthy organization, is that it's sort of backed or in cooperation with Pearl Jam guy
Mike McCready.
Mike McCready, who everybody knows from Pearl Jam and everything.
So Mike McCready has Crohn's. And it really has affected his life. I've heard rumors. This is from a stagehand, so I don't know if it's actually legit or not. But I think they have to have a restroom side stage for him just so that he can bounce off if he needs to.
How lucky is he that Pearl Jam got huge? Could you imagine if they were like kind of this like little crappy band playing bars and he was like, dude, I need a restroom on side stage. It would just be like a bucket, but I'm sure they bring him something super deluxe now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's in high school, I had two friends that spent 6+ months in the hospital for Crohn's, and their brother and sister, and they were both in the hospital at the same time. And good family friends, and so it's kind of a charity that I'm down for the cause.
Right.
And when they asked me to come back this year, I booked another show around it so I could get paid and still donate my time for it.
Yeah, and that's awesome. So, I mean, you've of course had the opportunity to meet Mike a couple times now up there.
His booking agent.
Yeah, the booking guy for the band, and they were kind enough to send you home with a little care package.
No, they mailed it to me. I just came home and I had a box on the counter and opened it up, and it's a signed
book
CD,
and some CDs and
book,
stuff,
T-shirt, all sorts of fun stuff. So shout out to Pearl Jam and Mike McCready and Chris, the booking agent.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no. So anyway, it was a really cool thing. So it was awesome that, while Mike was doing all his travels and in between all the weddings and bridezillas and things that one comes across in that industry, that he was able to, I guess, deal with somebody's pain in the ass that wasn't the horrible bride, but rather this charity.
Well, and it's a fun charity too. It's a fun cause they do. Last year was a 5K, and this year it was like some other fundraiser type. I don't know what the fundraiser part was, but they did yoga in the park. They had a couple bands. I DJ'd between the bands, and the bands are great. There's a really cool one called Ebb, Slack, and Flood, and they're a funk band. And the band that went on, that event in particular was rough because, once again, no sleep, set up. Then I had another show right after it. So the first hour, because they were doing like yoga in the park and stuff like that, I just put a Spotify playlist on and just let it do its thing. And then the MC for the event got on the stage and announced the band. And the first the first performer for the evening is this band or whatever, and I had been playing for an hour. And technically I wasn't performing, so it was okay. But after they played, I'm like, all right, now I'm going to show you that I am a performer. So I threw down pretty hard after that. It was pretty good.
That's awesome. But now, so do they do this like outdoor at a park or something, or where does the event take place?
It takes place in Anacortes at Cap Sandy Marina, and they have a big kind of amphitheater, and it's right on the water.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
It's amazing. It's so they set me up in the beer garden. I'm sipping beer. I'm in Washington. Have this beautiful view, playing the music that I love.
Yeah,
and
it's
awesome.
Awesome.
It's not like a nightclub environment, so I can play anything I want.
Yeah,
it's just barbecue background music, and it's my favorite type of gig. So anytime they ask, I'm always down to do it.
Always coming.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So anyway, check them out, support that group, because I'm sure they're looking to raise money and can use all the help they can.
Oh yeah, it's a great cause. They don't have a cure for it. It affects people for their whole lives, and it's not fun.
Yep.
DJ FaZe was on our show. He has Crohn's.
Oh, interesting.
So
yeah, I've known a couple other people like in my life that have had it too, and it's just miserable. I mean, some of them. I knew one guy that had it pretty severely, and was having operations and all kinds of stuff to deal with it, and just bad news bears, man.
Not fun. So, anyways, that was cool, and shout out to them for sending the swag back. So,
yeah, that's awesome.
What have you been up to?
God. All right. So it feels like I've just been running like crazy. So we talked about this a couple weeks ago, but we had a new Spanish intern move in with us. So her name is Adriana.
Adriana. Can I just call her?
Just call her Adriana.
Adriana.
She'll also go by Adri.
Adri.
So, but Adri is here from León in Spain.
Where's that at?
It's sort of in the north. It's not like Basque Country north, but it's I guess sort of in the upper third of Spain.
Can we make her the new Borja?
Yeah. Well, I already warned her that she was going to have to be. She's going to have to brush up on hip hop though. If she's going to come on. So, but speaking of that, we ought to call in Borja sometime and see how it's going. We need to get a rapper on the show or something and have Borja call in. So, but yeah, no. So yeah, anybody that doesn't remember, Borja was our previous intern, and actually, it's been 2 years ago now. How weird is that, right?
What?
So Borja came on and now he hung around because he was here teaching. He got a job here in the States, so he was here for another year teaching. But when he was living with us, that was actually 2 school years ago. And so, yeah, it's crazy how fast time flies.
Dude, we're going to be like old men sitting in these same chairs talking about the same shit.
Do you
remember Bora? Yeah, that guy was great.
Going on. Did you know that was 25 years ago?
4,832.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. So because it's crazy how fast time flies. Like all these memories are sort of blurring together for me. It feels like Borja was just here.
Yeah.
But but he actually hasn't lived with us for more than a year now. And so and both him and his wife ended up going back to Spain, so they're not around now. But anyway, shout out to the Borja factor. We never did get around to getting him any kind of stinger or promo music. So if we ever have him back on, we'll have to
make something up.
So, but
now that we have a producer to do it, I'm just this lazy ass. I just don't do all that. We talk about it. That would be cool.
That
Let's
would be
do
cool.
that.
You know what? That would be cool. All right, I'm not going to do it, but that would be cool.
And then I spent an hour making a fake ad for Fresca last week.
Well, and that's it. I mean, I'm sitting here with my can of Fresca once again. You know, the show, of course, unofficially brought to you by the fine folks over at Fresca.
I got to say that though that was like my favorite ad read or commercial I've ever made. It was so cheesy and horrible.
It is pretty awesome. But Fresca is officially the drink of the end of summer, as we discovered here a couple weeks ago.
Now we just have to get them to pay us to say that.
Right. Well, and so, but that's the whole thing is like, I drink more Fresca than I've ever drank any soda like in years. And so I'm actually kind of bumming out because, you know, no offense to my dear Fresca, but I might have to kind of cut it out. Because I'm drinking too much. Like I'm going through like 24 cans a week or something.
Jesus.
Yeah, because I grab one in the morning, I grab one in the afternoon.
That's like my Mountain Dew habit in high school, man. I would buy a 24 pack and leave it right behind my driver's seat.
Oh, yeah.
So I'd be even if it was warm, whatever. I didn't care. I'd just grab a new one, down it.
No, I was the same way. When I was in high school, I used to stop in the mornings because I had to drive by a gas station to get from where I lived to get
the big gulp.
I'd stop and get like the big 42 ounce or 56 ounce or whatever they had, whatever their biggest thing was. It was like a barrel, you know, like a drum of Mountain Dew.
Oh, God.
And I would drink one in the morning, then I'd get another big one at lunch, and I'd grab another one on the way home. Whew. And then sometimes in the evening, you know, if we're feeling randy, we'll go out and grab another one. So I would have like, I mean, literally, 200-300 ounces of soda a day.
And now I go back and I taste it, and I'm like, this is so sweet. How did I?
No, it's nuts because like that's the thing. I mean, so basically back then, and this was like high school, like my maybe freshman or junior year of high school. I was drinking so much soda, I used to get what I called my ulcer because it got to where every time I took a drink of Mountain Dew, my stomach would just like wrench, and I still wouldn't stop. Like it was like I have to have it. And so at some point, I did wise up and I stopped drinking it, and so I kind of cut out soda altogether.
Yeah.
So really, for the last 15 years or something, or however, I guess 20, because I just did that 20th year anniversary graduation thingy. Yeah, I mean, so for the last 20 years, really, I haven't drank a lot of soda. I mean, I'll drink other things, teas and coffees and things like that, but I don't drink a lot of soda. And so, but now I've gone like full blast on Fresca. Like, I mean, it's all day, every day Fresca. and I don't know. I mean, honestly, I mean, we joke that it's the official drink of the end of summer, but it's been all summer.
Well, it's going to be the unofficial drink of the midwinter next 6 months.
Well, see, but I don't know. Like, I think I might be able to cut it out in the winter because what it is or what it does for me is that first hit off it when it's hot outside is the most refreshing hit of a soda ever.
Really?
And so, and it's just because it's that seltzer water or soda water or whatever. I mean, but just that first couple hits, that like bright citrus flavor, and then it's exactly what I'm looking for in the summer. And then, halfway through the can, I have lots of like, with a third of the soda left in them just laying around because I don't finish them. But
you just want the initial
that
hit.
initial, and while it's really cold, like those few moments are like divine. And so all day
it's
long.
It's like the first draw on a cigarette when you haven't smoked in forever.
Well, it's one of the things, I mean, we talked about it, on another episode, but we just bought a new house, and in the garage, I have my beer fridge. I used to have this beer fridge at my old house, and it's been in storage for the last 3 or 4 years. But I finally have my beer fridge
pull it out.
Again. And so, but now it's just filled with Fresca. It's not. It doesn't even have any beer in it. And especially right now, because I'm trying to diet and trying to be good kid. And so, but Fresca is 0 calories. So I've been drinking a lot of Fresca and not a lot of beer.
And I'm doing the exact opposite. For some reason, though, I mean, I'm busting my ass these days, like nonstop. Oh, I did a 20-mile hike last week too.
Oh,
Yeah, I forgot to
Yeah,
mention
how about that?
Anyways, I'm doing all this working out, but I'm drinking so much beer and like
You're not getting
Yeah,
anywhere.
I'm staying. I'm like right at 190 pounds.
Hey,
and I go up and
maintenance
down.
isn't a bad thing. So, well, that's my problem. I had so this last week was really rough with me. I mentioned on the show last week that I'm coaching. Well, I think God, I don't know if Brandon and I got into it, but I think I mentioned that I'm coaching football. If not, it may have just come up off the air. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'm coaching or got roped into coaching my son's little league football team. So they're 12, and so I'm head coach of this group of 12-year-olds. And for the last 2 weeks, we've been playing or practicing 5 days a week because we're allowed to. And then once school starts, we can only go to 3 days a week. So now we're at a 3-day-a-week schedule. So hopefully life will get better.
Yeah.
But the last 2 weeks have been these 6:30 to 6 to 8:30. We've been practicing. And then we do like victory dinners. So we had a game on Saturday, so we won, and so we had a victory dinner last night, and we're up at the park.
Is this
until
stuff that you guys
10:30.
did last year, or is this stuff that you're doing because you're the coach?
No, it's all stuff we did last year.
Okay.
My wife is like mega team mom, and so she arranged all this stuff. So unfortunately, she kind of set the bar high.
Yeah.
And so that's part of the problem is we're trying to live up to previous year's expectation. And most of these kids have played with us a couple of years now,
So they're expecting.
so they
it.
know what to expect.
Yeah.
And so
You're the team to be on. They're fighting for you.
yeah, right. People want to be with us, but that's
Dude,
the thing.
we
I
went
mean,
to Chuck E. Cheese last night. It was amazing.
so these last 2 weeks, it's been 5 days a week. So this last week especially, it was 5 days of practice. Then on Saturday we had football games. My youngest is also playing football, so we were out at the football field all day for games and stuff.
Man.
We got like a little bit of a break Saturday night and then Sunday morning. And honestly, I think we did something Saturday night too. So I don't think we got a real
So
break.
you're just as busy
So
as
I
am.
relaxed a little bit on Saturday. We had relaxed. I got to mow the yard. I got to do all the housework that I haven't been doing. And then that night we had a nice barbecue. We had some friends over, a couple of our former interns, Alberto and Mario, who actually need to come on the show now because they're kind of famous.
Oh, really?
Those guys came over and Adriana was there and stuff. So we had a nice little barbecue and everything.
How are they kind of
I smoked
famous?
tri-tip, which was spectacular.
Dude, you need to see this guy's smoker.
Yeah, I cooked
He
this
has
thing-
the brand new, state of the art, best Traeger you can buy.
Yeah, it's super bomb.
You
It's
can't
like-
even buy it right now.
Yeah,
I think
it's called the Ironwood 850, I think is what it's called.
Shout out to
And-
Traeger.
Yeah, shout out to Traeger and Jeremy Andrus over there at the Traeger that actually kind of made it possible.
Dude, he hooked you.
Yeah, it was, it's amazing. And so the tri-tip cooked for like 3 hours or 3.5 hours or something, really low temperature and just sort of saturated it with
Have
smoke.
you done?
and-
You've got the.
I
Is
did
it
that.
is it called ceviche or what-
Ceviche?
Is that when you boil it in the bag?
Oh, no, sous vide.
Sous vide. Sous
Yeah.
vide.
Yeah, sous vide.
And I've heard that you can cook that as long as you want because it only gets to a certain temperature and it won't overcook.
Right.
So restaurants, I think, do that,
Yeah,
and then
well-
they pull them out and then just
Yeah,
slap
basically
'em on
that's
there.
what all these like steakhouses and stuff do. So the premise is the same. Like with the Traeger, you do it would be called like a reverse sear, which is
Oh, okay.
basically what I did with this tri-tip, where you bring it up to temperature, the internal temperature you want. You take it off the grill, you let it rest a few minutes while you heat the grill up, and then you throw it back on and just put that nice sear on it, so that it looks like you just grilled it like in a commercial, but really you just slowly baked it.
Yeah.
And so, but in restaurants,
But it makes it so much better too.
yeah, it's amazing.
It's a great way to
crazy.
do it.
And so, in restaurants, they can't really do that. So what they do instead is they boil the meat. Basically, they do they put it in some
In a
sort of
plastic
sous
bag,
vide
I
kind of
think.
device.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have some special equipment or what, but
Yeah.
they cook it using the sous vide technique, and they bring the internal temperature of the meat up to whatever it needs to be for whatever they're trying to finish. 130 degrees, 140 degrees, based on how cooked.
And it can just sit there.
Yep,
And
and
they
then
pull
it just
out.
kind of hovers at that temperature. And because with the sous vide cookers anyway, at least the home-based version, you just set your temperature, whatever you want it to be, and it'll just sort of sit at that temperature. And then you pull it out and throw it on the grill, give it that nice sear so that it looks like it was done on a grill, but it's cooked to perfection internally because the temperature's right. So yeah, so
I
we
need
did
to get
that.
one of those.
So anyway, so why Mario and Alberto are kind of famous now is so they started here. So backstory, or to go way back, Alberto is a twin. Mario and Alberto are twins. Alberto is now, was my son's 6th grade teacher last year. So he works here in Utah now. And he is, and Mario also works at the same school. So they're both there. And so the school that my kids go to is it's a Microsoft technology school or something. So
Yeah.
Microsoft invests a lot of money in technology and equipment and stuff there. So they all have, little tablets and computers, and everybody has everything. And it's kind of a cool situation. Well, so Mario and Alberto, I guess probably by nature of just being the youngest teachers on the staff, started sort of scooping up all the technology and started learning all this technology, right?
Sure.
And they're both from Spain, and so they are teaching in the Spanish immersion program. So one of the things they started working on with Microsoft, or in conjunction with Microsoft, is doing teaching where these American classrooms are connecting with foreign classrooms over Skype.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
He'll, call in a classroom from Madrid, and the kids will get to ask each other questions. And then
That's pretty neat.
Then they'll do it in South America or whatever, all this stuff. And so he does all these really cool things with technology. It's way more than this. I'm making it kind of simple, but it's a lot of that kind of thing, right? And so, but basically what's happened is him and his brother have become kind of innovative in this stuff, in this long distance education and in teaching foreign languages using technology. And they're beginning to kind of make a little bit of a reputation for that. And actually for this school that my kids go to, they're already being asked to go around the country and speak. Like they spoke in Texas last year, California, Seattle. I mean, they flew all over the country last year to go speak and talk about, technology integration in the classroom. And in fact, in Texas, they were in Microsoft's booth. Like they were running Microsoft's booth to pitch this new technology. It was really cool.
That's pretty neat.
And actually, they even did one international gig last year. They flew out to Paris and did a big show out in Paris on behalf of the school here. And so anyway, it's turned into this whole thing. So it's really funny. When they went home, their local newspaper, which it's in a city called Valladolid, Spain, wrote an article about them that basically said, I mean, this is a literal translation, so maybe it's not quite as strong as I'm making it out to be, but the headline was something like, 2 twins become the best teachers in the United States.
Oh,
or something
wow.
like that. Like it was
So-
the highest praise possible, right? I mean, they don't realize quite how big America is, and so they don't realize that there's probably 500,000 teachers in our country.
Right.
I mean, to be the best teacher is pretty high praise. But
Yeah.
so nonetheless, in their local paper, twins find success and become, most sought after teachers in America or something.
Huh.
And so it was, I actually brought it up with Mario. I was like, dude, or Alberto, I was like, guys, you guys are, that's pretty high praise. He's like, I know. He's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that. That's ridiculous. He's like, I mean, because they're the most humble kids
Yeah,
ever.
they are.
I mean, they're not,
They're super
they're
humble.
not that kind of guy. So they were actually a little embarrassed by the headline because it was so big.
We
And
should,
so,
if we get them in here, we should put it on the TV when they walk in the door.
yeah, right. And so anyway, so I got talking to him. Well, what happened was that article got noticed by a bunch of other newspapers and a bunch of radio shows and a bunch of TV shows and a bunch of everybody
In Spain?
Because here's these 2 twins from kind of a mid to smallish size
Well, and
town.
it's probably
in
an
Valladolid.
interesting kind of topic for...
They're twins. It's like a thing, right? It's
Yeah.
kind of a unique thing. And so the University of Valladolid was going nuts because this was, their alumni, and so they started spreading the word, and all these PR agencies got on top of it and all this
Wow.
stuff. And so all summer, while they were in Spain, because they go home every summer, they spent all summer going to radio shows and TV shows and other newspapers and magazines.
That's pretty cool.
Doing all these interviews about technology and how Spain and America are working together on all this, trying to bridge language gaps
We should
and stuff.
link them up with Homeboy.
Well, so now they're actually called the E-Twins.
The E-Twins.
And they have this thing.
We should make them T-shirts.
Yeah, right? Microsoft,
Sell merch for 'em and-
Microsoft made all these caricatures of them and everything.
Really?
There's this whole thing with the E-Twins now.
Wow.
They just set up an E-Twins Instagram and all
Did they
this stuff.
They need to sign something on the dotted line.
Yeah, right. We need to hurry up and get them. They're here because of me, technically.
Yeah.
So, But
So there you go.
yeah, right. I want an agent fee at least when they hit it big. But so what's interesting is I assume, and I don't want to speak for them, so I don't really know their intentions, but I assume at some point their plan is to go back to Spain, right? That's home for them.
Yeah.
So I assume at some point their plan is to go back, and so they're really leveraging what is beautiful about America. This American dream, more or less, where they're able to craft this kind of career around mastering.
They created their own kind of industry.
Well, they're mastering this technology and becoming experts in that field. And so, but they'll be able to do that work for Microsoft. They may not even be in the classroom before too long. And they'll just do this kind of work, but they could do it from home or anywhere on the planet.
Yeah.
They might just travel a lot or whatever, but this might actually give them the freedom to go home and have a great job. And in Spain, that's a real get.
Yeah.
I was talking last night to Adriana, and she was telling us that she had spent 2 years working in the Spanish school just as a monitor because she couldn't get a teaching job. because they're so hard to get. And so she was just there as like a lunchroom monitor and like a recess monitor kind of person. And she was having, she was like, the kids in the United States are like so good. And the kids in Spain are so bad.
Really?
She's like,
Discipline-wise?
Yeah, just totally like discipline-wise. And then I guess they, it happens here too, but they have a lot of if something goes wrong at school, it's always the teacher's fault, never the kid's fault.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is a little bit of perception, but I've heard it from a lot of people, so I assume there's something to it.
Yeah.
And, and of course it happens here too, but it doesn't seem to happen, at least in our neighborhood. It's not like an affluent neighborhood, but it's pretty white collar. It's pretty, the kids that go there are pretty soft and squishy.
Yeah.
And so, and they're really nice kids. And so a lot of them have great manners and things like that. And so these teachers come over from Spain ready to fight. and they come
Bring
in,
it, kids.
And these kids are like, oh, and so it's kind of a funny thing. But anyway, so Mario and Alberto, we've been threatening for like a year to have them on the show. But now with all this E-Twins stuff going on, it might be kind of fun to bring them on and just talk about all that. So we'll hit them up. So the other big thing that's going on with me, and I don't know, maybe we'll play a little game here, is so I've been working on a new startup company called Whittle, and it may have come up like a year ago.
I think
or whatever.
we teased it.
Yeah.
I don't think we talked about exactly what it was.
Well, and back then it still kind of wasn't fully fleshed out. And more recently it has been. We have been talking a little bit about this program called Tangible that I've been going to recently, this sort of e-commerce school. Tonight, Tuesday night, is the last session, so is our last meeting. And so, but as part of this meeting, we're doing a sort of a for funsies kind of pitch fest, right? So all the little businesses that have been trying to develop during the course of Tangible are coming together to pitch, and they're pitching some local like venture capitalists and a couple of like firms that raise money for companies and stuff like that. And so, I mean, there's a prize of $500 for the winner tonight, but I guess there's been 2 companies bought at this thing before.
Wow.
And this is only their second cohort. So this just happened like a quarter ago.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so 10 weeks ago, 2 companies were bought from this
sounds
thing.
like your program was a little bit better than one that I went through.
So I don't know. We will see how this goes. But basically, so to give everybody an idea, or what I'll be doing is I've got to do a 3-minute pitch on Whittle and what Whittle is. And it's sort of, based on a lot of things I talk about on the show a lot, because it's actually pretty core to my thinking these days. But basically what it is, to put it into a little package, is like Dollar Shave Club for woodworking. So however, I have to solve this one. So maybe we can brainstorm this a little bit live. We'll just kind of do this little live pitch preparation because I've got to go home and put together a deck
I'm going
right
to
after
play
this.
devil's advocate and just
That's
ruin
okay.
your
Do
life.
that. Okay, so I mean, first of all, so the problem is I've been pitching this to everybody as Dollar Shave Club for woodworkers. The problem is most of our people, or at least half of our people, aren't going to be woodworkers. They're going to be novice people looking for something new. They'll be first time.
Well, and you
carvers.
need to clarify
woodworkers.
Woodworkers.
Right.
To a block of wood and you're whittling it. You're not building a cabinet.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing is there's a really broad range when it comes to woodworking, and so I've been saying it like that because it seems easy to understand this idea, but really this isn't for woodworking. And so what's interesting, the product, just so you're aware, is basically a monthly subscription box. You get a block of wood, a pocket knife, a sharpening stone, and a thing we call the WOM, or the Whittle of the Month. And it's basically an insert with some design inspiration, maybe a little article, safety article, a whittler spotlight. Maybe we do an interview with somebody.
You should make them all get a totem chip.
Ooh, what's a totem chip? I want it.
It's a scout thing. It's how you're able to use a pocket knife as a scout.
We'll see. Maybe this is a thing.
And if you run with the knife open, or if you cut towards yourself, they cut a corner off your totem chip, and then they if you lose all 4 corners, you can't have your knife.
Well, we actually thought that maybe scouting or something like this might be something we get into. Yeah, because this is something they do anyway. So to finish that description, so in the first month you receive this box with all those goodies in it. And then in subsequent months, you receive a new block of wood and a new Whittle of the Month. And so for the last 10 weeks, we've been working on
I got
this.
it right.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Nice. So for the last 10 weeks, we've been developing this product, and we've had lots of ideas. So like this thing, like working with the Scouts, and we've talked about a kid version. We've talked about a Greenwood version. There's a bunch of these different things because there are a million subsects of woodworking. But we've been trying to stay hyper-focused on just this version of the product just to get launched.
Yeah.
And then we can play around.
MVP kind of thing.
Yeah. And so MVP is a minimum viable product for people who don't spend a lot of time doing this
Or
stuff.
me. I am an MVP.
Yeah, Mike is also the MVP. And so
Most valuable.
and so anyway, so we've basically the backstory on Whittle, or where it came from, for anybody who hasn't read my article, and you should all go read my article.
Go read his article.
Yeah, you got to. Is basically, I have this theory or this premise that we've sort of hit a level of some kind of technological saturation where we're sort of not that impressed with the novelty of an iPhone anymore. Technology like iPhone and social media and things like that haven't lived up to sort of the promised expectation. I mean, most of us are actually using our social media all the time looking for human relationship.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't fully meet that need. Like tweeting somebody isn't the same as going and talking to somebody in person. And so it just has fallen short. It can't deliver on this promise of human relationship. So we're naturally just sort of, and humans have done this for a million years, but we've always pushed back on technologies, new technologies. You know, people are afraid of change and that kind of thing. But so we've been pushing back against a lot of technologies, and I think we're pushing back now. And that's why you're seeing a lot of things like, you know, microbrews and stuff, as Mike is sitting here drinking one.
Don't tell him.
Beard oils.
Yeah.
You know,
Shout out to Squatters, by the way. This
Squatters,
double IPA is amazing.
Yeah. And so, you know, beard oils, foodie movements, all this kind of stuff. We're sort of pushing back on our technology, or at least in concert with our technology, and we're looking to find real, live, tangible experiences.
I think you're
touch
right
things
too. You know, because even last night, the art thing. You know, with Chase DJing, I had some downtime.
Yeah.
And I was able to talk to people, and like normally I'm behind the booth the whole time.
Yeah.
So I never get to go and interact in that kind of environment.
Well, and that's the thing. The most rewarding conversations are those that are had in person. I mean,
Yeah.
if you could have had that same conversation over Facebook or whatever,
Yeah.
but it wouldn't have felt the same.
Yeah,
you know?
and I think it's the same with your Whittle type
Yeah.
product.
Well, and so that's the idea.
You're creating something physically.
Right. And so the premise behind Whittle is basically this is a venue for you to step away from technology for a minute, reconnect with yourself as a human, so make that relationship, reconnect with this block of wood, even though it's an intangible, you form this relationship with this block of wood while you craft it.
Well,
and then at the end, you're left with the thing that you made and the satisfaction of having completed something. So you made this thing. So you sort of get these three prongs, right? But it's all about developing relationships.
Yeah.
You know, in this case, it's not a traditional like A and B relationship. It's more a relationship with yourself. There is a community component of Whittle. So, I mean, there is sort of an external community bit too. But really, the premise is this. And it's the idea that we're going to get your kids off of screens and give them something to go do.
Yeah.
And so, which is why this is resonating a lot with parents.
Yeah.
But so what's funny is Whittle, even though whittling is the thing, whittling is just the modality. It's just the means to the end. What we're really trying to do is help satisfy this need for relationship and this need for connection.
Sure.
And so it's kind of funny because people ask us a lot of questions about it, like, oh, you know, how long have you been woodworking and stuff? And we're like, well, we don't. And so I have, in my defense, I've whittled a little bit since getting into this thing, but none.
You should see the duck he did. It's ridiculous.
It's amazing. So my egg is pretty solid. But I mean, to be honest, it's not really about that,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And so what's really cool about this idea is, you know, Whittle is iteration 1, but I mean, it could be a painting kit next. It could be a whatever next, you know, because the premise is just, we're giving you an opportunity to reconnect and build relationships
Sure.
with a community, in this case, a community of woodworkers, community, with yourself, the relationship you form with this little block of wood and everything.
The downtime that it takes to whittle something. You know, it's like we talked earlier about the time I spend doing landscaping.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same kind of principle. You're sitting there on the porch, you're whittling. It's like you're thinking while you're doing something, and it's a good.
Well, and it's funny
good
how quick
space to
time
be in.
flies too when you're doing this kind of thing. Like, I mean, you'll lose an afternoon and
not
you'll feel
realize
so
it.
satisfied
Yeah.
with what you've come up with. And when you stand up and there's this pile of shavings at your feet, you know, which now you have to clean up, and
And
that
you
kind
have
of
a
sucks.
toothpick to pick
And
your
you've
teeth
made
with.
a nice little, a little toothpick or a spoon. You know, lots of people are making spoons these days. It's I mean, a really satisfying experience to have done something like that. And it doesn't matter if you're real creative, it doesn't matter whatever, but the fact of the matter is you sat down and you made something by yourself. You took this thing, this block, and you made something from
Yeah.
it. And so that sense of satisfaction is really what this business is all about, is this idea of getting to that point. And, we'll, of course, have to leverage some technology to build the community and some things like that. So, I mean, we're not going to be completely void of technology, but the lion's share of the way this thing works.
You're going to go to a website to order it, so it's
of course, it's an e-commerce business.
Yeah, but at the same time, the concept and the principle behind it is
and what you're buying is time for yourself.
Yeah,
I mean, so it costs you X number of dollars per month to buy this product, but basically what you're buying is X number of hours that you get to spend by yourself doing this thing.
Yeah.
And then later engaging with the community and all this other
stuff. So you have a pitch tonight?
So anyway, I'm pitching that tonight. It's just a 3-minute pitch. So, I mean, it'll basically be a little bit of this backstory on technological saturation and why I think it's important that we have stuff like this. It'll be a little bit about this product itself, what it is and what we hope to do with it, who our audiences are, things like that. And we've been doing some research lately, so we have some of those answers in place. And then and that'll be sort of it. Now, as a part of this thing, you can ask for money, you can ask for some things like that. We're probably not really seeking funding at this point because we can sort of just cover it ourselves, and so no reason to give up any equity.
Yeah.
But if it scales, we're going to need helpers. And so if I can get people interested in the idea, that'll be valuable. And then the other thing, I had a really good conversation the other day with a guy who actually I was put in touch with by a guy we know. And he put me in touch with him because he makes knives, and so he thought he might be able to help me with the knife component of our box. But he makes like really high-end kitchen knives, like the really fancy knives, and so it's totally.
That's actually something that I want to get into.
Yeah, so this would be a good guy for you to meet.
Yeah.
And so, but anyway, he basically we had this really long conversation. I pitched it to him, and he's like, "Dude, have you considered doing a Kickstarter for this?" I was like, well, no, I mean, I kind of figured we'd just self-fund it. We'll just do it ourselves, make it work. He's like, dude, you should put this thing on Kickstarter. He's like, that backstory, all this stuff, he's like, that will appeal to Kickstarter's audience. It's a lot of these sort of hipster types and, the Seattle, Portland crowd and stuff like that. And he's like, they will love this. This idea that it's not really even that much about the wood, but you're actually buying peace of mind or time to, ability to develop a relationship is actually what you're doing. Like that whole story is beautiful. And actually, the premise, or like part of the reason we include an old timer brand pocket knife in our box, but that's based on when I was like a little tiny boy, my grandpa would always let me borrow his old timer pocket knife to go out and sharpen sticks and then poke things, and eventually, years later, after he got tired of giving me his knife all the time, he bought me my own. So I've always had this little pocket knife, and later down the road, I bought one for my oldest son. I still owe one to my youngest, but I don't know if I trust him.
I wouldn't give him a knife.
Yeah, a kid might kill me.
You come back.
So anyway, so holding off on a knife for him, but anyway, so it's kind of, I mean, we don't spend a lot of time around it, but it's still kind of this cute little tradition that's in the family. So just that thing plus this idea or this philosophy plus, being kind of a cool product. I mean, it's a nice thing that we've put together.
Well,
too.
that and your branding's on.
Yeah,
point.
I mean, all this
like
stuff
your little mascot guy is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, all this stuff is really cool. And actually, I'm going to talk to Adriana, our intern, because she's a master illustrator. Really? Yeah, she's so good.
Do you go to Spain and find the ones that are into design first and be like,
no.
You're coming to me?
Yeah, I know, right? This is the second of that has been that way.
Yeah.
But no, just pure happenstance. Like she actually comes from a whole family of designers and artists.
Really?
Like her mom makes the stained glass for the cathedrals and stuff in Spain. And then her dad is does very similar work to me. Like he lays out magazines and does all this other stuff and does a lot of graphic design work. And she's more of an illustrator artist.
So are you going to give her a job when she goes back to Spain now?
I might just put her to work now. So actually, if anybody from Amity is listening, no, we're not going to put her to real work now. I won't be paying her. She'll just be working.
She's going to be doing slave labor in the basement,
right.
like doing the laundry for her.
Yeah, but you never know. She may be a good resource for a freelance illustrator when she goes home.
Well, there you go.
Because she's really good. And so, but we need some illustration work for our Whittle of the Month and stuff like that. So I don't know. She might be a really good resource actually. But anyway, so so that's kind of it. So I mean, it's a short little pitch tonight. We won't go too deep, but basically that's the business. And so hopefully we can get a little bit of love and get some support from the people. One of the investors on the panel is a guy who's been interested in this idea since I pitched it to him, off of a sticky note a year ago.
Yeah.
And so,
well, that kind of led to this whole thing. Right?
Yeah. Well, and he's one of the founders of this group I've been in, and so part of that idea was FaceTime with him, and So anyway, I think it's going to be pretty cool. So anyway, so that's kind of the pitch or the premise. Anyway, it's sort of those three approaches. It's backstory, philosophy, and then the actual execution of the product.
That's pretty cool.
So,
I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping it's awesome. I hope it becomes my new job. I love it. Like, it's a really cool thing, and I just, I'd love to see it get taken off. So if anybody's interested, because on this show we can plug my crap, just go to whittleit.com and sign up for the early adopters list, and we'll get you in the know.
So
maybe we'll set up an eggs promo code or something.
We need to do like a sneak peek on your jingle that you're going to do.
Oh, yeah. So we won't spoil it yet, but yeah, we've got a fun little song parody thing we want to do. Actually, the video guys I went and met up in Boise, I think, are going to come down. They owe me big because I have saved their butt on a creative problem they had recently.
Oh,
and so,
nice.
So I think they're going to come down and do it for free. So it's even better.
Better.
And so, but I want to have them come down and light the studio and do some other things like that too.
We should get them on the show when they're here.
Yeah. Oh, they'd be great. Yeah. No, they, the one guy, so they basically have a company, I think it's called Co-op Creative or something like that. Let me see if I can find it.
I like that concept, actually. That's cool.
Yeah, their company is called, they're actually just recently launched. They're called Co-op Creative. They're made up of some mostly filmmakers, but these guys have been producers and stuff in the content space for a long time. One of the guys, Ron Torres, is actually a really old friend of mine. He's been around for a long time. We went to second grade together, so we've known each other forever.
Oh, damn.
And so it was cool to reconnect with him. And but he used to be the guy that did all the video work for like bodybuilding.com and stuff. And so, I mean, he's done a ton of really great work. And then his partner is Jake Brumfeld, and Jake is like a LA-based film guy. He worked on Machete, and a bunch of other movies. He does a lot of post-production work for a lot of films, and he's got a couple Sundance entries and stuff like that. I mean, he's really established in the business too. So the two of them are making really great work. But one of their clients, or they had hired a creative guy to come in and do a website design for them for one of their clients, and that guy flaked, and they're going to miss their deadline if they don't hurry.
Oh, wow.
And so I worked a little bit over the weekend to try and build them a little wireframe so they had something to present. And so we'll be trading that out in the form of video work, I think.
Well, that's nice you're able to do that.
Yeah. So anyway, so I got to go back in. Now, of course, their list of needs is getting longer and longer. I'm going, wait. You're not paying me for this, guys. So, but if it saves me, the 10 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand it was going to cost me to produce this video that we were talking about, then totally worth it.
Sure.
So we'll figure it out. But anyway, really cool. It's coopcreative.co if you want to check them out. So Ron Torres and Jake Brumfeld, good dudes up in Boise, Idaho.
That's pretty neat.
So, but yeah, so I don't know. So that's kind of it. So they got the big Whittle pitch. So actually, as soon as I get out of here, I got to go start putting together my deck.
Yeah.
They wanted it by noon today, but I warned her it was going to be a little late. So anyway, so I'll go get that together, and then then we'll be set.
Well, cool.
So
it's good to catch up, man. It's been a minute.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and it was really weird. I mean, doing that show last week without you here was kind of an oddity. It was a weird thing. I mean, I think Brandon stepped up and he did a good job and everything. So I had a good time talking to him.
Yeah, Brandon's a good dude. I'm excited to have him on the show and have him be a part of everything.
Yeah, just having him be a part of everything is going to be great because he's got the right spirit for all this stuff.
Yeah, it takes the right type of person to be willing to do stuff like this.
Yeah, so I think he'll be great. So I imagine you will probably hear more from him in the not too distant future. Also, we're putting some shows together with him too. So, I mean, if you don't hear him on this show, you'll definitely hear him on the other shows on our network that we're trying to get launched.
He just ordered buttons. Did you see that?
I did, yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, he instead of business cards, he went with pins. He got little 1-inch buttons.
That's pretty cool.
Well, actually, they're probably like a 2-inch. He gave me one of them. Yeah. But yeah, he made these little buttons that have his email and phone number and everything on them, and it just says like producer Brandon on them or something. It's pretty cool. So anyway, yeah. So if there's nothing else, that's it for this week. Once again, this show is unofficially brought to you by Fresca, the official drink of end of summer. And if
should we run the ad again?
Yeah, if anybody knows anybody over at Fresca, tell them we've been giving them a lot of free air. So I would love either some sort of compensation or just lots of Fresca would be dope too. So.
Just come into the studio.
Yeah, just dump it off here. Yeah, a pallet of Fresca here in the studio would be pretty dope. So anyway, but that's it. So check out the show as usual. We are trying to hulk up on our engagement game. So please send us emails or drop us notes or hit us up on social media. get involved with the show. Let us know if there are people you'd like to see on the show. After this episode, I think our guest schedule gets pretty hectic again.
Goodness, dude, it's gonna be ridiculous.
Yeah, these last 3 episodes we haven't really had guests because just it's the summer and it's hard to book people.
It's hard to
Mike's
book
been
people
coming and
around me
going,
being away and all that stuff.
so it's been a little bit tricky. So we've had about 3 or 4 episodes. I think just three. Where we haven't had a guest, and so although we had Brandon on as a guest and then Brandon on the show, so it's been different anyway. It's something. But nonetheless, we're going to get back kind of in the guest mode, and we're like slammed with guests. So we're going to be booked, all the way through September and October with some guests. And but there's always room for more. So if you've got anybody that we want that you think would be great to hear on the show, we'd love to have them on. Basically, anybody you think's got a great story or great business or something they'd like to talk about, we'd love to have them. So shoot us an email, get engaged with us on social media or wherever. You can go to eggscast.com and you just click contact and there's a little email form there, so you can easily shoot us an email through to the show from there.
Yep.
And that's about it. So let's get talking, guys. Let's get a conversation going outside of just this room.
For sure. Yeah, hit us up, definitely.
So cool. All right. With that, everybody have an awesome week. We'll see you next week with a guest or 2 or 3 or whatever. I don't know. We're going to see what happens. So anyway, we'll see you all next Thursday. Have a good one.